Passion. This is Zach with you guys for Passion Live at 7:45. I'm sorry we weren't with you last week, but we are back and on track this week, and it's actually a new month. I hope you guys enjoyed talking about joy last month in September, but we're going to be talking about a new fruit of the Spirit, and that is peace for the month of October. The verse we're going to be working out of today is from Colossians chapter 3, verse 15. It says, "Let the peace of Christ rule in your hearts, since as members of one body you are called to peace, and be thankful." And the first part of that verse again is, "Let the peace of Christ rule in your hearts." The word "rule" really kind of stuck out to me when I read that. It was the YouVersion verse of the day for Wednesday, yesterday. And when I thought of the word "rule," it kind of made me think of like almost like a throne. Like you literally have the peace of Christ ruling in your life. It's like dominating your life. It is in charge of your life. It is what governs and dictates how you respond, how you act in your life. And another interesting thing I thought of was that Jesus is the Prince of Peace. And so when it says, "Let the peace of Christ, let the Spirit of Christ rule in our hearts," it kind of puts us to a point where we're being governed and dictated by peace. And I think that's a rare thing in the world today, especially in American culture. You know, we see people that tend to live in anxiety and stress and fear and worry. I know for me that is far too common. This is definitely not one of those things that I have mastered. This is me talking to you guys and me about something that we all probably need to work on, but I'm definitely right there with you. This is a huge struggle for me. But far too often, I think I have a tendency to, rather than let the peace of Christ rule in my life, taking peace off of the throne, Jesus off the throne of my life, and putting myself or my fears in his place. And basically, what that boils down to is a form of idolatry, or worshiping or putting my trust, my hope, my faith in something else other than Jesus, because I don't like the timing of his response, or how he responds, or how he answers whatever stresses or whatever things are stressing me out. And so, as opposed to trusting him and trusting in his peace, I say, you know what, I'll take care of this. Let me figure it out. Let me try to, in my brain, work out some way that I can make this make sense, or I can make this happen. And what we end up doing, like I said, is basically a form of idolatry. Is we just kind of take it and we run with it and put ourselves in charge, put ourselves on the throne, and tell God, "Stand by, I got this one," pretty much. A few weeks ago at Passion, we listened to a message by Pastor Stephen Furtick titled, "Why Am I Anxious?" It was really good. If you weren't there, or if you want to go back and listen to it again, definitely wouldn't be a bad decision if this is something that you struggle with in particular. But in that message, one of the points he brought up, which really stuck out to me, was it doesn't matter. And he said that about a lot of the things, or about a lot of things that we struggle with on a daily basis, or stress ourselves out over, freak out over. Truthfully and honestly, if we look at it and get down to the core of it, it really doesn't matter. And a lot of times, I know for me, I have a tendency to stress myself out about things that may or may not even ever happen. You know, I'll develop a scenario in my head of what could happen, and based off of that, I'll surrender my peace. I will absolutely freak out. I'll spend hours trying to solve a problem that doesn't exist yet. It may never exist, but I will spend plenty of time, plenty of mental energy. I will stress myself to the point of being tired, having a headache, whatever the case may be, to solve a problem that I think may or may not come to be, but at the same time, it stresses me out or causes me anxiety, and so I surrender my peace to that. Another thing that I feel like the Holy Spirit kind of dropped in my heart a while back was a term that we actually use at my job. It's called priority of duties. And basically, we have several different duties that we're required to fulfill in my job. And the whole system of priority of duties is basically saying that even though you have multiple things that have to happen at the same time, it's taking the highest priority task, solving that first, moving on to number two, and so on and so forth down the list. And so I think a lot of times we have a tendency, I have a tendency to get caught up in things that, A, don't really matter, and two, I have a tendency to get caught up in things that truthfully are probably near the bottom of the priority list, but I just decided that, hey, I'm going to go about this my own way, and again, coming back to myself, and I will try to solve it and try to take care of things that I consider to be small or whatever, so that I can clear those out of the way so I can get to the bigger problems. And basically, I would just wear myself out trying to solve these different issues, going back and forth, rather than saying, okay, Lord, show me what needs to be done first. What needs to be the most important thing? What do I need to focus on first? Um, and Jesus even offers us wisdom before he left the earth. One of the things he said was, love the Lord your God with all your heart and love your neighbor as yourself. And if you really think about that, a lot of times we stress ourselves out in situations. If we would just sit down and take a minute, silence all the noise, get away from the mess, the fear, the stress, and just look at it and say, God, how can I love you, and how can I love other people the way you would want me to? It would bring a lot of clarity to our life and bring a lot of clarity to what it is that we're putting so much value and importance in. Sometimes we stress out over things that, truthfully, like I said, it goes back to it just doesn't matter that much. Or even if it does matter, we're stressing the point of it where we're not loving God, we're not worshiping, we're not serving God, we're actually moving God out of the way, like we talked about earlier, and putting ourselves in a position of authority in our lives to try to solve problems that are there. And so I want to encourage you guys, I want to encourage myself that as we go about today, this week, this month, try to take every opportunity you can to hold on to the peace. Let the peace of Christ rule in your hearts. Since as members of one body, you were called to peace, and be thankful. Look to the Holy Spirit to guide and direct you. It's amazing that when we actually do listen to the Holy Spirit and give the Lord time to actually work in us and work through us, there is a peace that we can walk in. And it's amazing. It's funny how the whole world seems like they want peace, but at the same time, we never really pursue it. We always try to go about it on our own. Whereas if we'll just trust the Holy Spirit and ask Him to direct us, the Bible has plenty of references to asking God for wisdom and discernment. He'll give an abundance and direct your steps and direct your paths and all these different things. And so, ask the Holy Spirit to help you. If you guys have tough decisions you're trying to make, or if there are just things that are stressing you out or worrying you, literally try to shut off the noise as much as you can, the outside distractions, the chatterbox, and sit down, pray, ask the Lord to give you wisdom, ask the Holy Spirit to give you discernment, show you how best to proceed, and then try to follow that path the best you can. One more thing that happens, I think, when we stress ourselves or we allow anxiety and stress and fear to ruin our life or dictate our lives and take over the throne of our lives is that we actually put ourselves, we're not in a position to do what God's called us to do. When we're stressed out. I know for me, when I'm stressed out and anxious and worried about a situation, I'm not typically at a spot where I can hear the Holy Spirit and what He's telling me to do with people around me to show them the love of Christ. I know we talk about loving God and loving others, but for example, a lot of times if I'm stressed out or busy or I'm trying to solve everything on my to-do list, then whatever the case may be, if my daughter Emery walks up to me and wants me to pick her up or hug her, I'm a lot more apt to say, "Oh, baby, Daddy can't right now. Daddy's busy." Or if Des starts talking to me, I'm a lot more willing to go, "Oh, okay, cool, thanks, babe," and just kind of give her like the okay or yeah, okay treatment, and not actually listen to anything she's saying because I'm too busy with what I've got going on. And I think a lot of times we can go through life stressed and anxious and worried and not at peace, and at the same time we're walking straight past people that we could show love and show the love of God to, but we miss it because we're not at peace. So cherish your peace, hold on to it, cling to it tightly, and allow that to go with you through life so that when you do see people that obviously need some love from Jesus or need to see the love of God exhibited in a person, you're there, you're willing, and you're able to do it, and you're able to actually notice it because you're at peace and you're not so stressed out or worried about what's going on around you that you're able to actually recognize that need and then fill it. So y'all have a great one. See y'all later.